Hey, welcome everyone to Black in the Valley podcast. This is the place where Black community voices are amplified and celebrated. I am your host, Shania, and this is Black in the Valley, the podcast.
Black in the Valley.
So, on this episode, we are going to talk about the power of focus. It's a new year. People are trying to get their resolutions together. People set all these different goals for themselves and these things that they want to do. And how do you actually make these things happen? So, what I want to talk to you today about is focus and figuring out how to make that focus work. Before we start, I just want to let you know I am not a professional. I am not a psychologist, psychiatrist, or any of those ists. I am just a regular person just talking to you about what works for me and how I find my focus. So, what exactly is focus? So, the official definition of focus is, let me read it to you so I don't get it wrong. The official definition of focus is the center of interest or activity. The center of interest or activity. I can't really figure out how to break that down to you because focus means just paying attention to me in my book. In my book, focus is to pay attention. Focus is to pick something, stick with that thing, and figure out what you're doing. So for me, focus is taking all the thoughts that are roaming around in my head because I'm a creative person. I have a lot going on. I have many irons in the fire. And if I do not focus, those irons are going to cause a huge fire in my head, which is going to drive me crazy. So I have to take those thoughts. And for me, I focus by writing everything down. I write things down so that I can see it, I can visualize, and I can figure out, okay, Shania, you need to work on your podcast. So your focus will be on the thing that you've written down. So that's what I do for focus. Focus matters because if you don't focus on a specific goal, you'll be all over the place. And again, like I said, for me, writing things down helps me to stay on track. It helps me to create a plan. It helps me to focus. It helps me to just pay attention, right? Remember, focus means pay attention. It helps me to just accomplish my goals. And what works for me with focusing is that I am able to get a lot done during the day. I'm able to do so much. And people always look at me and like, girl, you're doing so much. How are you able to tackle all these different things? And why you keep taking on all these things? It's because I have the ability to focus. Right now, we're doing a podcast. So my focus is on this podcast. Now, when I leave here and I go to my car and I jump on this Zoom for Mocha Moms, my focus is going to be on that thing. I don't get overwhelmed often. I'm human, so sometimes I do. But for the most part, I do not get overwhelmed because I'm just able to tackle one thing at a time. So don't ever feel like you have to do it all at once. Just compartmentalize. You're focusing on one thing at a time because you are not Superwoman. You're not an octopus. You don't have a million hands where you could do a million things. You're one person. So just pick one thing in that moment and work on it. And then you're able to move on and do something else. Don't ever let anybody tell you, well, you're doing too much. You can't do this. You can't do that. Stick to one thing. No, you can stick to one thing in that moment, but then you can move on and you can do other things. Don't ever let anybody dim your dreams, and don't ever let anybody minimalize your dreams. If your dream is big and you want to do a store or this or that, do it all. Just focus. Focus on that thing in that moment. And that has worked for me. For me, focus has given me the ability to do a number of things. Through focus, I was able to start this group, Black in the Valley. Through focus, I am able to be an amazing parent and be present in the moments that I'm with my children and not feeling like, oh my God, I got to figure out how to do my podcast script. Oh my God, I got to figure out. It doesn't happen because I'm focusing on what's happening in that moment. So moments, focus on that moment. Don't focus on what you have to do tomorrow. Don't focus on what happened yesterday. Focus on what's happening in that moment. And then when that moment's done, okay, what's next? What's my next moment? And again, what helps me is writing everything down. Now, granted, I write a lot of stuff down and I have a lot of notebooks everywhere and a lot of notes and a lot of everything. But the way my brain works, it's helping me to focus because it's helping me to say, okay, I wrote a note about that. I got to make sure I get to that tomorrow because in this moment, I'm doing something else. So focus is very important. And for me, it's given me the ability to do a lot of things in a little bit of time. Getting things on paper is what helps me to focus. So every year, I bring my friends together and I bring everybody together to put their dreams on paper. I host a vision board party. I started hosting these vision board parties back in 2014, I believe. I was invited to a friend's vision board party out in Orange County, and I loved it. It was just a time of support. We took our dreams, we put them on paper, we shared them with everybody that was there, and it felt like this warm sense of community and support on our future goals. For those of you who don't know, Orange County is a long way from the valley. So I decided I love my friend, but I can't keep supporting this far, far event. So I'm going to do my own with my own community. So in 2000, I think it was 14-ish, something like that, I started doing these vision parties and I brought all my friends together in my home and we just created these amazing vision boards. And basically with a vision board, they're physical reflections of your actual goals and your dreams. So you'll cut out pictures from a magazine, you'll put motivational words, you'll put affirming words, and you'll put these things on something that you will be able to hopefully look at every day. So when I first started doing vision boards, I started doing them on these giant poster boards. Now, I don't know about where you live, but where I live, my kids do not want to see giant poster boards all over the house. So I found that that was not necessarily the best method because, again, you want to be able to put them down and reflect on them on a daily basis. And so for me, I transferred all of my big poster board items to a scrapbook. So with the scrapbook, I actually just take the pages and I put my images there, and then I'm able to just view it whenever I want. It doesn't have to be on display because my kids don't know. My kids do not need to know that mama wants more love in her life. They don't need to know all that. My kids don't need to know mama wants to lose some weight. My kids don't need to know all of that. So with the scrapbook, I find that it's still a space where I can express my goals, but keep them private. So this is the best way for me. So with the vision board party, it started at my house back in 2014, and my community started to grow. And actually, this is one of the reasons why Black in the Valley started, because with having this vision board event, I started with 20 people in my house, then it was 30, then it was 50. Then I was like, okay, we need to move into a bigger space because obviously there is a need for a sense of community out here. So we moved it into a venue. We have over 150 women that participate in these vision board parties every year. We have been doing it for 12 years straight, and I hope the math is adding up. So if it doesn't add up, that means I was wrong with the start date. It was not 2014. It was whatever 12 years ago was. Do the math. Y'all figure it out. And it's grown, and it's an amazing place of support. It's an amazing place of to get a sense of community. We do networking, and through the networking at these events, we're able to support each other's goals and dreams because you don't know who you're sitting next to. I could be a CEO of a company that the person next to me needs to make their dreams come true. So by networking, we're able to work with each other to make things happen. And they're just a lot of fun. Creating a vision board party is something that I do here locally. But for those of you who can't make it to my vision board party, don't worry, there's something that you can do at home. Get a piece of paper, get a pen, and just start writing down your goals. Just jotting them down. There's no goal or dream too big. Be outrageous. Be big with your dreams. Dream big. I want $10 million. Write it down. I want a house. Write it down. For me personally, every year on my board, I put that I want Black in the Valley Zawadi Cultural Collective to have a building. I feel deep in my spirit that that is something that I am going to eventually manifest. It is going to happen. It is going to happen because I just have like this burning feeling inside of me every time I create these boards, and I have to put that image on there, or I have to put that word on there, because it's something that I desire and a goal that is going to happen. And it might not happen right now, but still just putting it out there, it might not happen because of something I do. Maybe somebody else is going to step in and make it happen. Maybe somebody at the vision board party is going to give me a blessing of $10 million. You never know. I know it's not going to happen. I know who's on my invite list and they don't have $10 million. But they might know somebody who has $10 million. So you're putting all your goals and dreams on a piece of paper. But remember, this is not an instant thing. You can't just write it down and say, God, give me $1 million, and $1 million is going to drop out the sky. It's a process. You still have to put in the work, but focus on that goal on that paper. You still have to make your phone calls, but focus on that goal that is on that paper. Everything is going to require that you focus on what your goals are, and you have to put in the work. Faith without work is dead. So if you don't do it, it ain't going to get done. So make those vision boards, but don't just stick them on your wall and think it's just going to magically happen. You still have to put in the work. But give it some time. Don't rush it. Don't get discouraged. Don't feel like, "Oh, it's time for another vision board party and nothing on my board from last year happened." That's fine. You're still here, you're still standing, and you can still keep dreaming. It's going to happen. Just keep putting it out there and keep putting in the work, because stuff takes time. So, what you're about to hear are a few snippets from people from our vision board party. They are going to tell you some of their goals. We might even have a few testimonies, and they're just going to tell you about how important it is to focus on your goals so that you can see what happens.
I encourage people to become familiar with your inner voice, your intuition in particular. So most of the time, when I ask people, do you know the sound of your intuition? Do you know the sensations when it's speaking to you? Do you know where your intuition lives in your body? They often say no, especially the part about the sensations of it speaking to you or where it lives in your body. So connect with your intuition like your life depends on it, because it does. And it'll help drown out the noise of the lies. The other thing I encourage folks is to know the difference between your higher self speaking to you and the parts of you that have these stories that create behaviors, these parts like inner child, inner critic, the saboteur, that sometimes show up to protect us, to keep us from trying out new things. So know the difference when your inner child or your saboteur or that part of you that's just mean and is choosing fear. Know the difference between those.
For balance, one of the things that she was like, "Oh, you're starting to master this," is that I look at work-life balance, or all the things work and all the things life. Instead of it being compartmentalized, I integrate things as much as possible. So it's not that Angel, the actress, is not also Angel, the mom. So my kids be in my projects, my kids be in as many things as possible. My husband is a part of both my personal and my work life. My friends are a part of all of it, because at the end of the day, that's the life I want. I don't want to have to, my kids are very much so a priority, but so is my calling to like bring joy to people. And I don't feel like I have to flip one switch off for the other switch to be on.
Some of the medicine for me in making sure that I honor myself, I center myself, I center my care, is number one, to set boundaries with myself and hold them. Similar to what Angel was saying, right? When we say we make a commitment to ourselves and we're the first ones to break it, it's really hard then to set boundaries with other people and follow through with that, right? We might experience guilt, feel a way about saying no. So setting boundaries and holding them with myself and others. And then the second thing I would say is maintaining my commitment to my authenticity, of doing life the way that feels right for me, that's grounded in my truth. And it's not about external validation or the scripts or the expectations that other people have for me.
I feel like the sooner you get to living an authentic life, one, you end up working inside of your zone of excellence, the thing that God put in you that you do better than anybody else. And it makes life easier when you're, like you said, when you let your son do the thing for you, you let him do something that you weren't good at. And sometimes a lot of us are working in our zone of incompetence, wasting time and money, actually. For me, because I feel like one of the gifts God has given me, He gives me ideas all the time that it's easy for me to get off focus. So I have to be really intentional about what I want to accomplish daily.
All too often we get pulled in a lot of different directions. So I like to harness focus by compartmentalizing, and focusing on one thing at a time. I love it when there's synergies between certain aspects of my life, but what I've learned to do over the years is focus on the task at hand, then move to the next, and move to the next. All too often in this world, people, they, I guess, praise and pride themselves being able to multitask. But then I feel like when I multitask, or when we start to get in a habit of multitasking, we are not perfecting what we need to perfect, and we're missing out on certain clues and certain things that we should be focusing on. The power of focus means to me to be able to have complete blinders on and go after your truest heart's desires. So setting your intention and going after it, whether it looks crazy, scary, funny, whatever it is that truly resonates with you, just being able to have laser direction toward it.
One thing that's on my vision board, it's been on my vision board for several years now, that scares me, is my changing my career. I've been one thing for so long in television production that, I now want to switch gears to voiceover. So it's been on my board for a while, and it's been making me nervous. But this year, it's a little different because I've met some people that are willing to help and coach me and mentor me, and I really feel like I am on my way. I got a call yesterday about getting an agent. So that vision board works. It works.
The power of focus is so powerful in my life because it helps direct you, it helps keep you grounded, it helps actually to be creative in the gifts that you have and to execute it. I believe in dreaming, seeing it, speaking it, writing it, and doing it. First, to be able to see that big picture and to be diligent about accomplishing it, knowing that whatever that dream is that's connected to your purpose is important for you to carry it through. So once you understand that importance, then you can keep your mind on it and stay focused.
The power of focus, what that means to me is just really kind of buckling down and having like laser focus into things that you really want to accomplish in life or even in the day. How I harness that is I do a lot of like time blocking. So I kind of start on Sunday and I kind of look at my week and just really kind of take it day by day. I have a 14-year-old daughter, and so a lot of my life revolves around Ubering her around and kind of juggling her responsibilities and my work commitment. So I just do a lot of time blocking Sunday evening for the rest of the week. There's a book by a guy named David Allen, and it's called Getting Things Done. So it's the GTD method. And so that's one of the resources that I use to kind of do my time blocking and actually prioritizing certain um, task or anything that was important to me. I'm in a group chat with some of my mentors, and every year we pick a word for the year. And my word this year was focus, which is so funny. And I was like, okay, universe, I hear you. You're talking to me. And so the reason why I chose that word is because, like everyone else, everyone's always busy. There's a lot of commitments that you have in your professional, personal life with families, relationships, all of those things. And for me to be present and focus on certain things when I'm in the moment, when I'm at work, giving it 100%, when I'm with my family, giving it 100%, when I'm doing extracurricular activities or things that I'm passionate about, really focusing in and showing up and being present is something that I know I'm going to accomplish this year.
Practice peace. Having a calm, healthy nervous system is a privilege when it should be birthright, especially in Black and brown bodies. Nourishing your nervous system to have a calm baseline will take you out of fight or flight as the norm and also decrease the likelihood of physical disease and stress response. The last one is we know a lot of pain and trauma in our bodies, and as a collective, even though we may not talk about it, it's real easy to get caught up living from that case. Remember that you have access to joy, beauty, peace, and love. And the invitation is, how can you cultivate a life where that takes up more space than the pain and trauma?
Well, I hope those testimonials gave you the feels, because we sure had a time at the vision board party, honey. If you missed it, you missed it. But it's time, y'all. It's time for Shania's picks. And for the picks for this episode, we are going to talk about how I find my focus. So first on my list, I don't know if you remember back when I was talking about how I write everything down and I have notes everywhere. It was getting a little out of control. I had notebooks and papers and stuff everywhere. So one of my top picks is getting a notebook that has little tabs in it. So each tab is a different subject. I have a tab in here for the podcast. I have a tab in here for Black in the Valley. I have a tab in here for Zawadi. And whenever I get a thought, now it might be a little complicated because sometimes you get a thought and you're in the bathroom and you're like, oh, where's my notebook? Let me just write it on this toilet paper. But always go back and find this notebook, because it is important to have everything in one place. Because if you're scattered all over the place, notes every place, that focus is not going to come. You're not going to be able to focus if it is not all in one spot. So this notebook, right, doesn't have to be this specific one, but a notebook with tabs. That's number one. Now, number two, don't judge me now. I am a planner. So what I find works good for me is planning in advance. And when I say advance, I mean 10 years in advance. This here 10-year calendar has changed my life. It is amazing. You are able to plan until Jesus comes home, because that's how much space is in this book. I have planned many a trip, many an outing. It is amazing. And because of the Girl Scout troop, we do a lot of stuff in the future. As a matter of fact, we're planning a trip to Africa in 2026. You wouldn't have been able to do that with the 2024 calendar. So with this calendar, I can plan from 2021 all the way to 2030. I am going to be scheduled. I am booked and busy till 2030. So check back with me after that. Okay. That's it, y'all. We made it through another episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you are encouraged and empowered to find your focus. If you like what you saw, we want you to join the tribe and subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to our Instagram and like us and follow us. Go to our Facebook page and like us and follow us there as well. We just want to be able to spread the word about the things that we're doing here in the Valley. And we appreciate you and we love you. And we hope to see you being Black
in the Valley.
Deuces.